This slideshow is about your relationships and whether they're healthy or not, and how that pertains to your overall wellness. So, this will hopefully help you to see how you're doing when it comes to not just relationships with one person at a time, but even just our society in general. After reading the chapter, you should be able to explain how optimism and positive outlook do benefit your relationships, practice using your mind and body to communicate with others effectively, explain how integrity, developing interests and talents, and environmental awareness enhance relationships and your own well being, describe the ways in which long term relationships benefit your well being, identify key elements in developing and maintaining long term relationships, and then explain how you can deal with the loneliness that you may have, or how people can deal with loneliness in healthy ways. It actually can be helpful into giving us some insight. So think about a time when you were confronted with an uncontrollable situation. I think of COVID as being an example of something that we have no control over at all, but we can only control like how we respond to that situation. And that's something that can be very detrimental to someone, and it can impact obviously lots of relationships that can happen. So positive psychology can be very helpful when it comes to thinking about our relationships. Stephen Mayer and Martin Seligman discovered that people could acquire learned helplessness over time. And this outlook gets this idea that we can expect things to go wrong at all times. We view the world and everything in a negative light. Things aren't going to get better. And that can be very concerning for someone and even can cause, obviously, deep depression and problems. Seligman also believed that if the negative thoughts could be conditioned, then so could the positive ones. So they could develop a branch of psychology that they referred to as positive psychology. This is really a life changer, in my opinion, because it takes someone that maybe always sees things as not being able to be improved and flips it so that they can have more of a growth mindset and see that, the way I spend my energy thinking about things can make or break me as far as how I'm going to look at things that are happening. So there's this idea of optimism, which I think is so exciting and something that we can cling to. An optimist sees problems in a clear perspective and events that occur, things that can be resolved. So even though they might be very bleak looking, we still look for, okay, how could we do the best in the situation to make it out on the best side? We tend not to blame themselves, or they tend not to blame themselves when this happens, but look more objectively at the problem, and they're motivated to deal with the problem itself. Optimism is awesome because it impacts your wellness, and so you're going to have a stronger immune system and be able to fight off things easier. Actions that you take will reduce your illness levels and maybe even prevent illness. Can also reduce your risk of bad events, meaning you're not going to just make really quick decisions really fast that make you more prone to like accidents. And they also improve your relationships and help them to be more beneficial in your life. So it's really important to look at how optimism can make someone's life really much more fruitful. So there's also this idea that being optimistic will help you adapt the 7 traits that you're seeing on the slide and strengthen your ability to relate to others in a healthy manner. And mind body scientists have identified some personality traits that are effective in helping us stay healthy and promote this happiness. So some of these are attention and connection and expression, capacity to confide in others. That's actually something that really can help someone out into feeling more confident. Their hardiness, their ability to spring back or be resilient when things do go wrong. Being assertive, this is such an important thing for us in our health to take charge of. When we're assertive, we're going to let people know how we're feeling in a kind way and make sure our needs are known, versus being passive, quiet, not talking about it, and just getting kind of upset, or aggressive, where we're just in people's faces. And that's really not a very strong characteristic to have in life when it comes to having a positive level of wellness. We also have healthy helping. I kind of skipped over affiliative trust. This is the idea that the more we work on trusting other people, it can help kind of branch into other parts of our life. Healthy helping is this idea that when we are helping other people, but not to the point of like draining ourselves, is actually going to make us stronger. So volunteering at a fire department or at a food drive or something can be very helpful in knowing that you're helping others. Self complexity, this is something that can change throughout time as we learn that we can add more skills to our skill set in our wheelhouse, so to speak, and it really can help us feel better about our own wellness as we take on more skills. So each trait is linked to immune function, and together, when we put them into kind of a pile, they work together as being an immune power personality. Keep in mind, these are not something that has to be exactly as you're seeing or all or nothing, but they are good signs that someone has been doing what they can to achieve optimal happiness. Other qualities for having a positive outlook, we have emotional resilience, which allows us to employ good communication skills and show empathy and really do exude this level of optimism. Every mind body relationship is highly unique. It's good to learn from others, but it's also important to increasingly trust your own intuition. Get to know your mind body connection and eliminate those behaviors that bring tension to your life. So, we want to be able to embrace the things that make us healthy and feel good in mind and body. So, being able to be resilient is going to help in this process. Flow is this concept of an extraordinary feeling accompanied by a lack of self-consciousness or awareness of a time when you were fully engaged in an activity. I think about my daughter's wedding when I was the planner with her for her wedding. Once we got to the event day of the wedding itself, time almost seemed to not even be recognizable. Like you couldn't recognize that 5 minutes or 10 minutes had passed. It was like completely in a flow, which is a great place to be when you're in something that's very important to you and helps you to feel at peace when you're in the flow. So hopefully you have a time that you can think of in your life that you've just been so unaware of time that you just enjoyed every moment of something without knowing what was really passing. So healthy relationships, your beliefs do make all the difference. The way you look at them, the way you look at yourself. Do you tend to worry about being unhealthy, or do you believe that you can regularly enjoy good health? So some people are just always look for all the things that can go wrong. They Google everything or AI everything. They try to figure out, is this or that, and it can lead to just complete destruction of our health. Are you positive about your life and its meaning and purpose? So I think a lot like spiritual wellness is part of this, like this idea that we have meaning and there's purpose for what we're doing. And it's really important that you're doing something in your life that you feel like you're really being able to give back in some way, shape, or form. Another thought is, are you positive about the lives of others? Sometimes we can get really jealous if someone accomplishes something that we were hoping to accomplish, which really can kind of be a negative effect on us. But the hope is that we can even feel good for others when they are accomplishing things and feel genuine happiness for them. So it's important that we're able to do that and not feel like we have to compare ourselves to them. So often people ignore warning signs or even intentionally mask them to expedite a quick fix in life when it comes to having issues. And they might not even look for what's the real cause of what I'm feeling. So it's far more worthwhile to engage your best thinking along with effective treatments to discover the cause and rid yourself of the difficulty so that you can basically move on if you're having an issue with something in your life. So not an easy thing to do, but very helpful and important to your health. So communicating with others, we have this idea that positive and effective communication is basic to good, healthy relationships. If you're someone who keeps your feelings stuffed, you won't talk about how you're doing, then that's going to lead to long-term issues in any relationship. Being able to speak and listen and have body language that matches what you're saying is super important. So we need to express how we feel about ourselves to the person we're in a relationship with and influence how we relate to others. It's very important that we give the right message of how we feel and we're not trying to just keep everything stuffed. So think about, what areas do you personally need to work on improving? Maybe it's the area of touching and relating. So just the act of having like a massage, for example, is something that can be very helpful to us. And touch can actually reduce stress and promote healing. So getting a massage on a regular basis would be an example of something that helps us. But even just like when you're talking to a friend and you run into them, maybe just putting your hand on their shoulder and they're like, hey, how's it going? That might be something that you're comfortable using for communication. Being able to confide in others and express thoughts is a very therapeutic act, and it helps improve our social support. Being able to listen to others, and when you're listening, you're not focusing on, oh, I'm going to tell them this after they say that. It's really just being fully immersed in what that is that they're talking about instead of thinking about you. Being able to speak to others, the manner in which you speak plays a significant role in the health of your relationships. So thinking about like the tone, like how loud are you speaking? How does it come across? As you know, you can change the meaning of something just by the way it's inflected with your speech. So super important. Conflict resolution, are you using constructive criticism? Because it can help you get to know your own behavior better if you do that. And to be able to solve conflicts, which we are going to have in our relationships, is crucial to having success. And then just being genuine in your relationships, treating others with respect. I think a lot of times in our culture now, we tend to just let anything go, and we don't always treat each other with respect, especially if we have differing views about something. But I really feel like it's important that we're putting our energy and our effort into being kind to other people and respectful to them. So think about a recent conversation you've had sometime in the last week. From the list that I just showed you, what are some of those things that you're actually doing quite well? So maybe that, communication through touch, maybe you're speaking well to others, maybe you're being very effective at your listening. But then what is at least one of those areas that you might need to improve on? Maybe there's one that just really stood out to you from those slides. If so, what could you do to improve? We all can improve. Every single one of us is a journey to wellness. And then how would that improve your relationships with others? So if you become a more effective listener, for example, how would that improve your relationship to other people? And it doesn't have to be a dating relationship. It can just be a relationship with a coworker, a classmate, someone along those lines. So you want to be able to present yourself in a healthy, confident way, because it's important to the message we're expressing to others. You are always communicating to the world by how you act and how you present yourself. So it's important to think about, how am I representing myself? Am I being positive? Is it negative? So think about integrity and trust. If we act with integrity, we are true to our values and not duplicitous or deceitful. This develops trust, and trust brings an emotional peace that contributes to our health. It's important that we understand that, like right now, it's very easy to hear like loud voices on social media and think that, okay, if someone is saying that, then everybody must think it's true. But really, it's not always the case. In fact, they say the loudest people on different types of social media are about 10% of the people that they're representing versus like the other 90%. And unfortunately, when someone's loud on social media, we think, oh, that must be how everybody feels, this collective idea that everyone must think the same way. But it's really only about 10% that probably even feel the same way. So we want to be able to trust others, and we want to be able to be true to ourselves. And this is going to bring peace to us. So not just trying to follow every bandwagon or every decision you hear other people making, but to be authentically you. You want to develop your interests and talents and your capacities to form healthy relationships and retain health and well-being, and also have a sense of contentment and no need to compare yourself to how other people are doing. we can genuinely be happy for someone as they learn new things and then also focus on us learning new things and being content with where we are, even if it's not where somebody else is. And then relating to your environment, researchers have found that just 5 minutes of activity in nature results in improved mood and mental health. So there's this thing called earthing where if you go outside and you walk around on grass or on sand or an area that you can, obviously the middle of winter is not the best time to try this, but you can really get this exchange of ions between your body and the earth. And overall, it just releases serotonin, helps our bodies to feel more relaxed. And it's a great way to feel much more mindful at the same time as well. So, just a really good thing to try if it's proper weather for you. So, healthy relationships. One of the things that they have found for married couples believes that it can also be the same for like a close relationship, such as a partner, friend, or a parent. And this is idea that there's about 10 things that they notice in people that are in long-term relationships. For instance, having less doctor visits and hospital stays, less depression and substance abuse, lower blood pressure, less anxiety, natural pain control, better stress management, fewer colds, faster healing, longer life, and happier life. And of course, not every one of these is a guarantee just because somebody's in a long-term relationship. However, they are some of the consistent kind of symptoms, so to speak, or positive consequences, so to speak, that you will find in people that have long-term relationships. So it's important to nurture those relationships. They require commitment and nurturing, which means time. Like we have to put time into those people that we are in relationships with. We want this interdependency. So in order to become interdependent in a healthy relationship, we have to first be dependent on someone else, then have that independence according to the maturation continuum. So all dimensions of you contribute to the health of your relationships. And just having that secure relationship, developing a relationship in which you're able to draw close to others and also let them depend on you. That's very important in your wellness. So intimacy is something, of course, to think about, and it is a way to deepen a relationship, but it doesn't have to be specifically referring to sex. An intimate relationship is characterized by strong emotional, supportive bonds, honesty, and deeply confiding in one another, having frequent relating, so you're seeing them on a regular basis, trust for each other, having deep feelings of belonging and approval, feelings that each person's benefiting. So sometimes in life you may have found that certain relationships didn't keep going on, and maybe it's because that person just didn't really need that relationship in their life anymore, or vice versa. Sometimes you go to school with someone in elementary school and they move away, or you go to middle school instead of elementary school and you're playing totally different sports than you used to and you're just not really seeing each other. So there's really just not that feeling of benefiting from the relationship anymore. Sexual intimacy incorporates both passion and compassion together, those types of love. So someone who's passionate, they're going to have that intense attraction sexually to another person. It causes that state of euphoria or bliss. Whereas compassionate is more about affection and trust and genuine concern for how that person's feeling. So it's not that first attraction, but it's more about the genuine care over time for another person. And this is very important to our health as well. So if you're ever experiencing loneliness, it's important that you know that it actually is a signal that can protect you from isolation and prompt you to connect to others. So it's very necessary to our health and our survival to realize or recognize, like, okay, I'm feeling lonely. So therefore, what can I do? Long-term loneliness can lead to despair and depression, and obviously could cause illness. And to overcome this loneliness, remember, it's the quality of connections you have versus the quantity. Some people think, oh, if I have 20 friends, I'm going to be fine. But really, if you had one really good friend, that would be even better. So avoiding responsibility impacts negatively on relationships because it's basically a form of manipulating another person rather than being genuine and being honest in the relating to them. You want to be able to seek out healthy relationships by being in a healthy place as a person yourself. And the only person that you really can change is yourself. You can't really change other people. So if a change is needed, you have to go about it gently. So thinking about choice, it's always present and we have to accept, okay, is this what we want? And then own how you feel and don't blame other people for making you feel a certain way and be accountable for your own actions. That will lead to personal happiness. Just kind of saying, yep, this is my fault or this is what I did. That also can make a big difference in your relationships. So, thinking about long term relationships, whether they're someone in your family, romantic, etc., what benefits do you see from that relationship? So, try to think of one specific relationship that comes to mind and what are the benefits that you personally have been receiving from it? What are things that you personally could do to improve that relationship that are maybe just not working well in your life but need to improve? And how does having a healthy relationship improve your complete wellness? Because again, the social aspect of wellness is a big part of what contributes to our health and our journey to wellness. As you can see on this slide, there's a lot of things that you can be working towards to becoming your best self. And being positive is huge. Not feeling like you have to go through life feeling helpless. So important to reach out to others, especially if you're having a time of loneliness. Acquiring personality traits that will improve your immune system and help keep you healthy. Finding things that you are passionate about and trying to live in that abundance. Giving yourself fully to developing your talents and abilities and being able to benefit for yourself and others. Striving for quality long term relationships. Enjoying your relationship within your community and your environment. Realize that it takes your whole being to have wholeness and balance and healthy relationships. Give freely to others to find lasting happiness and peace, and then discover the joys of relating to a higher power or other realities that take you beyond your own cares and your concerns. So you can see lots of different dynamics work together when it comes to our wellness, and spiritual is just one of those components. Social is just another component. So they all work well together.